So you picked up a Baofeng UV5R handheld or two and you're wondering what to do with them. As promised, we are going to show you not only how to program them from the front panel and using Chirp software, we are also going to show you two modes of communication you can use in emergency situations. Please note that legal operation on most functions of this radio require either a ham radio technician's license or a GMRS license. If you're interested in getting your license, there are links below to our Survival Communication series. The first thing we will show you is how to get your radio talking with another handheld. This is simply referred to as simplex communication. Simplex communication is two radios talking to each other using the same frequency to transmit and receive. Simplex communication is the most basic function of these radios, but also the least performing. Since these radios operate on VHF and UHF frequencies, they are line of sight. This means that the curvature of the Earth itself will block the signals as it curves away from you. This is what limits the range of these types of handhelds to about 7 miles or less. In my case, it was far less. Now I'm going to assume that you have your GMRS license, so I'll program the radio to 462.550 megahertz. It is actually quite simple to do so, but there are a few gotchas. First, press the VFO or variable frequency oscillator button until the radio says frequency mode. Then make sure that the arrow is on the top line. If it isn't, press the blue AB button. If the arrow is not on the top line, the radio will not accept programming. Getting two radios to talk is quite simple. In frequency mode, just enter the same frequency into both radios, but we want to actually store these frequencies in the memory. We also want to make a few basic selections in the menus. Pressing menu will get you into the radio's programming menus. There are 41 different menu options, but we'll just take a look at a few today. When in menu mode, you can enter the number of the particular program feature, like squelch, at menu 0. Squelch suppresses the unwanted noise when there isn't a strong enough signal to understand. This setting should be as low as possible. For my area, I don't have a lot of noise, so I can set mine to 1. I hit menu 0 to get into the squelch menu, and then the menu button again. You will notice that the cursor moves to the bottom line. Then I can use the up and down arrow to enter the desired setting. When I have the setting I want, I hit the menu button again. You will hear the radio say confirmed. You may also use the keypad to enter the number instead of using the up and down arrows. The entire menu system works like this. Once you understand this, you only need to understand what you are setting in the radio. The only other setting we're going to mess with right now in the radio is for the frequency step option on menu 1. Set this to 5 kilohertz. Hit the exit button and get out of the menu. Now back to programming in the GMRS channel. Press the VFO button until the radio says frequency mode and enter 462.55000 and you will hear a beep. Press the menu button and then 2 and then 7 and this will bring you to the memory channel menu. Press the menu button again and press the up and down arrows until you get to 001. Press the memory button again and the radio will say receiving memory. Press the menu button again and it will say transmitting memory. You have just stored 462.5500 megahertz to transmit and receive on memory channel 1. If you make a mistake, simply hit menu 2 and 8 to bring you to the memory channel delete. Hit menu and then use the up or down arrows to find the channel you wish to delete. When you find the channel you want to delete, hit the menu key. You cannot edit a channel once it's been saved. You can only delete it and start over. An overall hint would be that the exit key will get you out of any menu at any point. Once you have the first channel programmed in, you may continue adding other channels. The Baofeng has 128 memory channels. To access the channels, hit the VFO button until the radio says channel mode. If you program two radios identical, setting them both to the same channel would allow communications. As we mentioned, simplex communication is somewhat limited. It's great for communicating around your property, but what if you need to keep in contact over a greater distance? This is where repeaters come in. Spread across the world are thousands of repeaters that are available for public use. Simply put, when you transmit using a repeater, they repeat your transmission. Because most repeaters have antennas very high in the air, their radio horizon is much greater than two antennas near the ground. Using a repeater, it's possible to increase the range of your Baofeng radios to anywhere between 20 and 100 or more miles, depending on the terrain in your area and the location of the repeater. In an emergency situation, the types of communications we take for granted may fail. There are two ways in which using a repeater in an emergency can be of great benefit to a prepper. First, most of the repeaters are backed up by battery, so even if the power in your area is down, communications can still be possible using the repeater. Second, you can make your own repeater of sorts. This can create an extended mode of communications that you control. We're going to cover this in a future video. Programming a repeater is a little more in-depth than simplex communications, and there are a few more settings that are required. To program in a local repeater, we're going to connect the Baofeng to a computer using the optional USB cable and program it using Chirp software. Links to both are down below. We are going to assume that you've already installed the Chirp software, so first plug in your radio with the optional USB cable and turn it on. We need to know what COM port the USB to serial adapter is using, so on your computer, hit Start, then Devices and Printers, and look for your adapter. Mine is on COM port 5. Next, open the Chirp software. Select File, then New. The first time you open a new file, you will have to download from the radio first. So click on the radio button at the top of the page and download from the radio. Make sure that your port and vendor and make are correct. You will notice that the transmit light will begin to flash as it's downloading. Once this is complete, you can begin programming. The first field is the frequency that the particular channel will receive on. A local repeater in my area operates at 147 megahertz, so I'm going to enter that into this field. The second field is the channel name. This menu is only accessible via the software. Putting a name here will appear in the channel mode on the radio. For this video, I'll use repeater 1. You can name your repeater whatever you wish. Most repeaters use a continuous tone code squelch system, or CTCSS. They require your radio to transmit a tone to begin using it. In this field, select Tone. In the next field, we'll enter the tone to use this receiver. In this case, 131.8 Hertz. Now head over to the right and you'll see the columns labeled Duplex and Offset. Repeaters actually listen on one frequency and retransmit on another. At 147 megahertz, we are in the 2 meter band, and in this band, the standard offset is plus or minus 600 kilohertz. In this repeater's case, it's plus 600 kilohertz. So what this means is, the repeater is going to transmit on 147 megahertz, and your radio is going to transmit to the receiver on 147.6 megahertz. So we enter this into both columns, and that's it. You've programmed in a repeater. Believe it or not, you've just learned quite a few answers and the reasons behind them for your technician's exam. Just like in manual programming, we'll set the second memory location to a GMRS channel. Since we'll be operating in simplex mode, we only need to enter the frequency and the name of the channel. To upload the new programming into the radio, click Radio and Upload to Radio. Make sure your port, vendor, and model are correct and hit OK. This time the radio should flash green as it's uploading. After unplugging your radio, enter channel mode, and as you hit the up and down arrows, you should see the channels you just programmed in. Next, I want you to go to Repeater Book. Here you'll find all of the repeaters in your area, their frequencies, and tone codes. Remember, repeaters may be the only form of communications in a disaster. My suggestion would be to program in all of the repeaters anywhere near your area of operations and a few simplex GMRS channels. This way, you'll be ready to go in a disaster. Interested in becoming a ham radio operator? Check the links below for more information. If you found this information insightful, share this video, comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to the Tin Hat Ranch channel. Thanks for watching.